Hello everyone and welcome back to Recap, a fireside show where we recap all the TF2 competitive news in the scene. This will primarily be a European episode to make up for last week's, which was more focused on North America and South America. So let's get started. Uberfest 2025 in jeopardy. After the successful inaugural Uberfest 2024 at the Baystock location in Dortmund, Germany, a successor tournament for 2025 had been announced. But now, those plans have run into a major obstacle. Baystock, on February 26th, would announce that they would be shuttering the Dortmund location on the 27th. This is a major blow to the LAN scene as it seemingly came out of nowhere. But luckily, only the location itself would be shut down, and not Baystock as a whole, as the March poLANd.tf 2025 LAN would still play out with no issues. Tournament organizer Gideon posted the following statement in the Uberfest Discord. The second paragraph states the following, quote, "While we have no definitive plans for now that we can present you, open parentheses, and please trust me, we would love to have them, close parentheses, please be assured that this is not the end of Uberfest. The first iteration was amazing, and the whole team is eager to do it again as soon as possible. We are already scouting for new venues and may have already found a solution for this suboptimal situation. As soon as we will have better news to share, you will be the first ones to receive them." The statement does provide a slight glimmer of hope for would-be attendees, though no formal announcement has been made regarding this potential arrangement. However, the saving grace in Baystock's closing is that there should be a suitable amount of time to find a venue replacement for Uberfest 2025. Highlander LAN in the works for poLANd.tf. Highlander has always been a logistical nightmare. Organizing a team of 9 to play a full season is hard enough, even online. But that hasn't stopped Highlander from making appearances in both European and North American LANs. Most notably Deutschland 2015, Copenhagen Games 2018, Copenhagen Games 2019, all in Europe. In North America, Steven Miggy Chavez organized multiple iterations of Florida LAN, where Highlander was a mainstay. Since Copenhagen Games 2019, there have been no LANs for Highlander, but that is soon to change after poLANd.tf organizer Supra announced plans for the summer poLANd.tf 2025 LAN to feature Highlander as its main game mode over sixes. Strong interest was garnered after word of mouth spread around the community, with 52 out of 73 responders expressing interest in playing the upcoming LAN. This LAN can accommodate 8 teams, thus requiring 72 total players to make the first Highlander LAN in 6 years a reality. Hopefully, with enough interest, we can see the return of Highlander to the competitive TF2 LAN scene. Order is restored at poLANd.tf 2025. When Witness Gaming EU were last active, there was no doubt that they were still the best in Europe after their shutout victory at poLANd.tf 2024. Heading into 2025, though, many questions were raised about the newly reformed Witness Gaming EU's roster. ETF2L Premiership Season 49 had already started prior to the event, and while they remained at the top of the standings, their early season saw very close calls and even a map loss to 2 of the recent ETF2L Premiership champions. Season 47 winners Mandem and Season 48 winners Forfence. Was Witness Gaming EU still the best in Europe? Or would Mandem or Forfence cause doubt about Witness Gaming EU's ability ahead of their upcoming international LAN appearance on North American soil? poLANd.tf would have these 3 event favorites alongside other Premiership teams: Samicot, Venomcrest, Danish Tyrant Regime, and a modified Anticide missing their star scout, Pandemic. But there was one team that would cast the seed of doubt instead of Mandem and Forfence. #BigBlokeLAN, a team that just barely missed out on Premiership. The team that also saw their scout Sail making their LAN debut would deal the biggest upset in the tournament. In a slog of a Snakewater game filled out with stalemates and round resets, they would come out the victors against Witness Gaming EU 1-0. Yet, #BigBlokeLAN would flub their chances of earning the first seed heading into playoffs, after losing to a weakened Fourfence in #BigBlokeLAN's final group stage match. With Fourfence and Big Bloke LAN having a tie and a loss apiece, and Witness Gaming having 5 wins and only 1 loss, Witness Gaming came into playoffs the first seed. To round out the qualifying teams would be Venomcrest, who eked out enough wins and ties to get the final spot. On the other side in Group B, Mandem comfortably rode their way to first, only facing resistance from a modified Anticide roster. Anticide themselves struggled heavily, having to switch one of their soldiers, Blank, to replace their Star Scout Pandemic. With Charlie slotting in, Anticide faced inconsistency, nearly beating Mandem, but losing to Danish Tyrant Regime and tying with Samakot. Anticide struggles in the group stage only served to strengthen Mandem and Danish Tyrant Regime's placements heading into playoffs as the first and second seed. The playoffs featured all the expected teams in the upper bracket. Luck of a draw didn't shine upon those who performed poorly in the group stages though, because in the case of Venomcrest and Anticide, they'd square off against the 2 recent Premiership champions, Mandem and Fourfence. Venomcrest would be swept by Mandem without putting up much of a fight, and while Anticide gained an early lead versus Fourfence, they failed to close out the second map and allowed Fourfence to ride the momentum to a rematch of last season's TF2 Premiership Grand Finals. Big Bloke LAN proved that their group stage win versus WGEU wasn't a fluke, as after they defeated Danish Tyrant Regime in a series that ended up being decided by a golden mid on the final map, they faced Witness Gaming in a rematch. And this match was just as close as the group stage was, with Product being an absolute back-and-forth nail-biter. Despite an inhuman performance from Witness to Scout Tomas, Big Bloke LAN still managed to trade rounds with Witness Gaming, making the map tied 2-2 and forcing a 5th and final round. Here, Tomas went nuclear. With 12 kills alongside 2,200 damage, he managed to secure both 50 kills overall, and more importantly, the map win for Witness Gaming EU. Snakewater would be a repeat of the group stage. Only this time, Witness Gaming EU were the ones to get the one and only round of the match. Mandem and Fourfence was another close affair. The match began with Mandem jumping to an immediate 2-0 lead on Metalworks, but a resurgence from Fourfence would quickly tie the match up at 2-2 with some very great tactical play from the all-French squad. But Mandem, in crunch time, would net the round required to earn them the map win. And unfortunately for Fourfence, they would fizzle out in the second map, as Mandem were powered by the damage output from their demo man Zams, allowing Mandem to punch their ticket to the upper bracket final. In the lower bracket, the teams from the open bracket were the first to go. It would then be Samakot and Anticide, the latter of which would be left disappointed after bowing out versus Venomcrest. If Pandemic C could have attended LAN, their outcome may have been different. Fourfence would then make quick work of the Flick and AMS Danish Tyrant Regime, while on the other hand, Big Bloke LAN would be the unfortunate victims of a late tournament resurgence from Venomcrest. It would be a sad ending for Big Bloke LAN, who definitely punched above their weight in matches against Witness Gaming EU. Unfortunately, the team did not match up so well versus the rest of the Premiership attendees at the LAN. But now came showtime for the headliner match, Mandem versus Witness Gaming in the upper bracket final. And it did not disappoint, as the match kicked off with lightning-quick rounds on Metalworks. Mandem took early control of the map with very well-executed mid-fights, garnering them a 2-1 lead. However, the pace and Mandem's control over the match would turn when Witness Gaming started to figure out the mid-fights. Whatever momentum Mandem had accumulated would come to a halt, in a mid-fight that started off well with a nuclear bomb from Hans, but ended in an Uber drop from Mandem's medic June, who milked the Uber charge a bit too long.
June can very safely walk in. One pick advantage is enough for them to take the space. Very slow, very methodical. Lucas not in this realm of existence.
And they actually get the force out of the side of Otto as well. He eats a bit too much damage, wants to keep his team alive as best he can. And the tail end of it, Zams, nice little combo there onto Hugo, clean that up. Make sure nobody else gets onto your medic. Unfortunately, Tomas tries to have a word with it as he just runs straight into his face and actually gets her.
He gets there. He ultimately gets there. That is absolutely crazy how he is just plucking those plays.
Witness took the lead 3-2. Despite all the odds, Mandem recovered, won the next mid-fight, and dealt a huge blow to Witness Gaming, as Otto would die very late trying to escape. That death gave Mandem a strong advantage, pushing into last, and would tie the game 3-3. Witness Gaming would do one better though, and in the middle of a stalemate with 3 minutes left on the clock, Witness Gaming EU would kill 4 players on a coordinated sack attempt, forcing June and allowing Witness Gaming EU to close the map out.
Finding the cheeky angle that he was searching for. Also, XD sneaking in. Does he have it in this watch? No one's really looking at him. And Zems is dealt with. It was also only an Inzo pop here. You have an engineer, you have an Uber, but that is shambolic.
Early, they're not even going to try to get caught. The cannonballs are out for Zams as well, but it's not going to be enough. No, are they going to?
He's even caught.
He gets caught again.
Zams, what are you doing, my man? He couldn't even leave out of the shutter, and that is significantly going to oppose a daunting prospect to their own efforts of defending this Witness Gaming with only 2 minutes on the clock, are taking it to a 4-3 lead on Metalworks.
The next map? Granary. A stark change in tempo from a quick-paced Metalworks to the painstakingly slow pace of Granary's meta. And it showed in both the gameplay and the scoreline. Each team only got 1 round, and eventually regulation expired and Golden Cap came into play. Thankfully, the Golden Mid ended as fast as the other rounds did on Metalworks. Witness Gaming sweeped the mid and dictated the Uber advantage game for the rest of the Golden Cap, eventually succeeding in their second attempt at pushing onto Mandem's last. Witness Gaming would secure a grand finals ticket and cast away most of the doubts for now. As the third day of LAN rolled around, Fourfence vs Venomcrest would play in the lower bracket semifinal. Being previous TF2 champions, Fourfence were expected to make the top 3. It was a low-scoring series versus Venomcrest, and while the Frenchies did drop a map, their 2 map wins were won by a considerable margin. Despite the small hiccup, Fourfence were on to the match against Mandem with an added boost of confidence. And in what may be the closest LAN match since Arcadia LAN 2022, Fourfence and Mandem would fight tooth and nail for the right to play in the grand finals. The series kicked off on Gullywash, started dominantly for Mandem, and as of right out the gates, they raced to a 3-1 lead, winning 2 of those rounds off of 2 Uber exchanges that would be poorly played in the post-fight by the Fourfence side.
Sit back and run down this clock as much as possible. Really push you to make the play. Okay. That play apparently is just Nevo straight in through choke as he finds a lot of damage. But it is Rudgman and Demul sacrificed for this scout running forwards. And I just don't think there's any positioning left for Fourfence here as they lose both their soldiers. And now this is really scary here for Fourfence.
They lose QB as well. Can't really get a cheeky sniper.
Oh
And
my
it's just
God.
in behind. Huge damage onto the combo. Mula's dead. It is crumbling for Fourfence. This French combo is utterly demolished.
And down 2 rounds with 4 minutes and 30 seconds left, Fourfence required some heroics. Cue Demul.
Oh, retreat into lobby, trying to salvage what they can.
Oh my God,
Demul!
Demul!
Gets caught as well. Demul is in behind. Is he gonna get
Oh
bored?
my-
He gets bolder.
Demul!
And Zams trades
Massive,
out.
massive 3K QB with the 1v1 onto Inso. This might be the light, the ray, the glimmer of hope as Frenchies off of a miracle play there. Demul, Ugg still got it.
Uck still got it, my man.
The score would tie up, and just when Golden Cap looked certain, Mandem would almost salvage the game with what little time was left.
Any chance if Uber comes through, they have to get these players out of the equation as quickly as possible. They
Soldier?
fight Rudgman, but is that all they're gonna get for the time
Oh, the
being?
cleanup!
They get them, they get them, they get
They're
all the
getting
firsts.
it!
Not enough time!
Oh!
And Fourfence would bring it to Golden Cap. But their late game resurgence fell flat as Mandem would regain their footing and take the first map. The next map, Process, would be drawn out, with neither team being able to convert. That is, until 14 minutes when a single mistake snowballed into a Fourfence round loss. The drop from Mula.
Manages to spam him out, and that means the aggression can come forward straight in onto Mula, who ends up dropping it. The scout from Boulder with the final little ticks of damage. They sacked in 3, though.
Fourfence would immediately answer with a round, Then Mandem would answer right back again in the same exact fashion, both rounds taking less than 3 minutes in a game that went back and forth. Then, in the 4th round, 2 consecutive failed Uber advantage last pushes from Mandem gave Fourthwall the leeway to tie up the score. And lo and behold, another golden cap came. But you know what would go good with a golden cap? A golden mid. Neither team were able to score in the golden cap, leaving us with the golden mid. Win the mid, you win the map. And with the stakes high, neither team was willing to cross the middle point and strike first until Krissy came into play.
The Grand Finals take on Witness in just a little bit later, so we'll have to see. And that's a lot of cap time already. This is going to play differently. This isn't your normal map. This isn't your normal mid. You have to play this very differently. And both teams being careful so far not to lose anybody early. Dumoul will be the first to fall. And the Uber slash the crits is much rather are ready for both medics soon as well.
The crits is now ready for both teams, but this is a very weak Fourthwall as the crits comes up for both sides. Neither finds anything. One sticky is in onto Deli, but he lives it. Now crits have been neutralized. No one has found anything. As players will be rejoining the mid once again, it is soldiers bombing across here, and a very low set of soldiers. QB finding horns in onto the flank, but Boulder is just onto the cap. It is June with the head coming in, getting that kill onto Dumoul now. It's counter-aggression coming forward from the French side because June is so low, and she's getting cleaned up. Now Frenchies ×6 on the point. It is just 2 scouts left. Make that 1 and 4 fence. We're going to map 3.
They're keeping themselves in it. They're going to take on map 3 and give themselves another shot and go into the finals. They're not out of this just yet. France has not surrendered. They're keeping this fight up.
With the series tied up, we were going to Metalworks. This was the very map that decided the TF2 Season 48 premiership in the grand final between both of these teams, and it was this very map that Fourthwall stole the premiership crown from Mandem. The Decider map, much like Process, played to the same tune. The early game featured back and forth stalemates, and once first blood was drawn, it very quickly turned into a succession of quick rounds going either team's way. And you know what would have been really funny? Is if we went to another golden cap. Wait a second.
Every pipe ever, and he can hit
some.
2, but he cannot hit them all. 4 fence with a minute to go.
Oh, we're in another golden cap. And if history were to repeat itself, Fourthwall would be winning in the waning seconds of Metalworks. But Mandem had other plans.
Let's get into lobby. Lots of damage here onto his counterpart. Will win that duel against Hans. Gives himself a bit of ground to work with. Now has to hold his ground though. Nice rocket there. Another nice one. Unfortunately, it's not enough. And they lose Dumoul and QB as well as Ron just slips all the way in behind. Suddenly, they're getting pincered.
They have no presence in house because the move falls, and that is so much damage there from Horns. Now, Nevo has to keep his medic alive somehow, some way, and that is a thirsty Boulder looking to come in, taking down Nevo, taking down Mula, as Runs is finding the kill onto Dumoul as well. Bandem, they are looking to get to their first ever LAN finals. 3 players remain on last. Only 3 Frenchies can hold on, and there are no heals. There is no respite. The future is now, and Mandem ascend.
In this war of attrition, Mandem would get their revenge and move on to the grand finals. If anyone could beat Witness, it was Mandem.
But they're going to come out, and they showed yesterday they can match Witness, they can take them all the way, and on a grand final stage, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, if there's any team that can do it here, I think it is the Mandem. You heard the good words being given to them on the couch here. But a little bit about the Witness team here. They are looking to obviously become the European champions here at this LAN. But later on this year in May, they're looking to become world champions, going to America to fight those hard teams, also getting Australia there as well here. So you're thinking Witness Gaming, they want to leapfrog off of a success here. And if something goes bad here, can it spell trouble later on this year for them?
Yeah, it'd be pretty embarrassing, right, if they were the European representatives and they weren't the champions of Europe. So Mandem here, they have the potential to do something very, very funny indeed. But it's going to be...
Unfortunately, after that barn burner of a lower bracket final, fatigue seemed to kick in immediately for Mandem, who would have had to play grand finals right after. Witness Gaming, well rested and warmed up, would clean house to kick off the best of 5, winning the first 2 maps comfortably. and they were up 2-0 in the third map, Metalworks, before Mandem finally roared back to life with 2 rounds in 6 minutes. With Golden Cap being on the horizon, a very anticlimactic ending to a poLANd.tf occurred. Witness Gaming were crowned champions, and rightfully so, as they will make the leapfrog to Physgun Denver Fireside 2025, where they are looking to not only become champions of Europe, but champions of the TF2 competitive world. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching this episode of Recap by Fireside. As always, get subscribed. We'll see you next.
Hi, this is Bebnix, your video editor for Fireside Casts. The reason why I am here is because I am electing to step down from Fireside Casts and moving on to greater pastures. So, recap is over? Not quite, as I have left something special behind for anyone who decides to volunteer and make recap videos in the future. That being the recap folder. It has all the videos you need to make recap videos, that being the soundtrack, the player pictures / profile pictures from different regions, the recap logo along with the numbers to make as many episodes you want with that font, and more. My goal with this is to make it easier for people who want to video edit but need the experience to do it, and to make it easier for the TF2 community to come together and make news for the community. You know, when let me put this phone down. I didn't expect to come into Fireside Casts and leave with a big smile on my face, because originally I came into contact with Sayo because we were talking about double streaming, and it just kind of snowballed when I revealed that I was a video editor.
But yeah, happiness, John. If you guys want to actually join us, we're cooking on some podcast ideas because we need to make some TF2 lore content. You know, we've been discussing for like the past 5 minutes.
If you want, I could definitely edit.
Are you a video editor?
Yeah, I'm a video editor on my YouTube channel.
Why didn't you tell me this? We could have. Join us! Join Fireside! Join us! We need it! Jess, you see this? We're revolutionizing the levels of TF2 content as we speak. We can make lore!
And with his help and many others that supported me, I have grown as a video editor stronger than ever. I've went from Premiere Pro to DaVinci Resolve. I've learned all I could with Fusion and many more to come. I've made several documentaries, some better, some worse, but they were all mine. They were all mine, and a lot of people loved it. I brought Fireside Cast from 100 subscribers on YouTube to 1.5k on YouTube, with only me, Sayo, and a few others. Thank you all for giving me the confidence to actually make something and know that I am a better video editor than I was a year ago. I hope more people sign up, because Fireside Cast is the place for writers, video editors, voice actors, producers, coders, whatever. It is for you. It is for you to learn and to be more confident in yourself and to say, I did it. I made something. And I can actually see myself going somewhere with this. So please sign up. Please sign up to Fireside Casts. Because what do you gotta lose? Anyways, that's all for me now. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Recap. Maybe the final one. Maybe not. But, as always, stay cozy.